Of angels off the Pacific Ocean. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be, across the nation, around the world. I'm George Norrie. Welcome to Coast AM. Open lines for you this hour. I'll give you the numbers in just a moment. Next hour, is it magic or extraordinary feats of the mind? With guest Jim Carroll. Let me tell you, if you get up to the coasttocoastam.com website, just take a look at some of the things that Magician Jim has sent on to Lex that we posted on the website. I'm still trying to figure out how some of those things work. They're absolutely stunning. Well, about a week or so ago, Stan Dale was on the program. He was talking about a major earthquake that he envisioned near Honshu, Japan, off the coast there, the eastern coast of Japan. And sure enough, just moments ago, they had a 5.8 magnitude event. Now, Stan had thought it would be a bigger one and could create a tsunami. Now, this was 5.8. But is it a prelude of things to come? But I got to say that was a hit for Stan Dale. Congress has sent President Bush a second 5-week extension of the Patriot Act as Senate negotiators work to close a deal with the White House on renewing the anti-terrorism law with some new civil liberty protections for all of us. Well, they're saying, Alan Specter is saying, we need the Patriot Act. I'm prepared to work on it further to improve it. He's the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. 16 provisions of the 2001 law were to have expired last December 31st, but Congress extended them until Friday after Democrats and a handful of Senate Republicans demanded an avenue of appeals when the FBI makes demands for people's financial and other private records. The Senate voted 95-1 just moments ago to extend the current law unchanged through March 10th, and give negotiators a little more time to reach a deal. The law makes it easier for federal agents to gather and share information in what they call terrorism investigations, install wiretaps, and conduct secret searches of households and businesses. At issue are 16 provisions that Congress wanted reviewed and renewed by the end of last year. I do hope that they bring in these new civil liberty protections because even in the act of trying to find terrorists, the Patriot Act could infringe on our rights. 2 bombs exploded about 20 minutes apart in eastern Baghdad, killing at least 11 Iraqis, wounding dozens. Also sad news for us in the U.S. military. 5 U.S. troops died in separate attacks. A roadside bomb blast killed 3 U.S. soldiers near south of Baghdad. A 4th soldier died the same day from wounds sustained in a small arms fire attack. And then a U.S. Marine was shot and killed during combat near the western city of Fallujah. In Russia, 3 bombs ripped through slot machine parlors in a southern Russian city, killing at least 2 people, injuring up to 25 others there. They're treating the blast there as terrorism. Al-Qaeda is still plotting and preparing attacks on the United States, though great strides have been made to degrade the terror organization. Now, this all according to National Intelligence Director John Negroponte. He told the Senate panel this, speaking on behalf of the entire U.S. intelligence community in a very rare open session. He told the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence that Al-Qaeda and Iran are this nation's top security concerns. Although an attack, he says, using conventional explosives continues to be the most probable scenario, Al-Qaeda remains interested in acquiring chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear materials or weapons to attack the United States. Strange story out of the Bermuda Triangle. And this is starting to hit the mainstream media. There were 3 boats in the Bermuda Triangle. The first boat was a brand new Mercury outboard with these engines. It was a brand new boat. Now, that boat got further ahead of these other 2 that were in the triangle. Ultimately, one of the stragglers had engine trouble. They radioed the lead boat and told them to hold up while they tried to fix the problem. Apparently, the person in the lead boat said that he would just idle and wait for them. It's very strange. A half hour later, they heard him yell, U.S. Coast Guard. They heard him say that twice, and then there was silence. Now, when the United States Coast Guard found that boat, it was empty. Only 2 of the 3 engines were running. The boat had 2 brand new GPS recording systems Both of them were blank, no data. There were two 200-pound coolers on that boat that were missing. Two 200-pound coolers gone. The food in the coolers was not taken. Steaks, shrimp, etc., thrown all over the boat. The guy was 45 years old, apparently in great shape, weighed about 200 pounds. He was a kickboxing champion. But this happened in the Bermuda Triangle. Al Bielek, you know him from the Philadelphia story, the Philadelphia experiment. 79, 80 years old. I've just found out that he has now suffered a second stroke. Happened a couple months ago, but I just found this out. We knew about the first one. He is home now. Apparently, Al Bielek is in severe financial straits right now. I'm just going to give you their website, and you do with it as you may. Al Bielek, of course, has been just a great guest on Coast to Coast over the years, talking about that Philadelphia experiment and how the Navy tried to make a ship disappear. And he was on that, he says. www.philadelphia-experiment.com. You can read up a little bit more about the plight of Al Bielek, and our prayers go out to him and wish him a speedy recovery. He's a tough guy. In New York, a man jumped to his death from the Empire State Building after buying a ticket to go to the observation deck. Now, he didn't go all the way up. He apparently jumped from a vacant office on the 66th floor of the 102-story building in Midtown Manhattan. More than 30 people have committed suicide at the Empire State Building since it opened in 1931. In Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, well, don't put those winter coats away just yet. The world's famous weather prognosticating groundhog awakened from his burrow at 7:23 a.m. Eastern Time. He saw his shadow, a sign that there'll be 6 more weeks of winter. But where is winter? Because people around the country are beginning to say, this is one of the most mild winters we've ever had. The balmy weather, though, they say, could soon end. But just how warm was January? Well, listen to this. Warmest on record in Oklahoma, South Dakota, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Kansas City, Missouri, Riverton, Wyoming, Epley Airfield in Omaha, Nebraska, barely missing the record in Iowa. Second warmest in Maine and in Milwaukee. Third warmest in Memphis, Tennessee, and in Detroit. Fourth warmest in New York's Central Park area. That's tied with January of 1913 there. Very warm in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Louisville, Kentucky. Eighth warmest in Denver, the warmest since 1986. 10th warmest winter in Baltimore. Warmest since 1950 in Buffalo and Nashville, Tennessee. 12th warmest in New Mexico. And Minneapolis, St. Paul had the warmest January in 160 years. Why? Well, they say the current warmth is caused by the very unusual position of the jet stream, the high-altitude river of air that flows west to east across the United States and North America. It divides warm air from cold, but they say over the coming week, the jet stream is expected to return to its usual wavy pattern, bringing real, normal cold air to the eastern U.S. once again. And if they haven't had enough, in New Orleans, tornadoes racing through New Orleans, many in the exact spots where a lot of the homes were destroyed. How much more can they take there? Water ice present on the surface of Comet Tempel 1 suggest observations from NASA's Deep Impact mission. They say this is the first direct detection of exposed water ice on a comet, but the mission's science team says the water ice is presently in surprisingly small amounts, covering less than 1% of Comet Tempel's surface. They are throwing out old assumptions about comets because they said they're just getting new data all the time. A strange story out of Ellensburg, Washington, where Mel Waters is supposed to reside, you know, Mel's Hole. Well, first of all, let me tell you the strange story, and then an update on Mel and Mel's Hole. A man who owned 3 McDonald's fast food franchises crashed his truck on Interstate 90 in Washington State. He climbed out, he took his clothes off, stood in a traffic lane, and was run over and killed. 35 years old, he owned 3 fast food restaurants. Apparently he was doing very well, but nobody knows what happened. I mean, it was freezing out. He took his clothes off and got hit by another vehicle. Now, to add mystery to all this, a dead dog was found near the truck. The dog's carcass straddled the two eastbound lanes near the shoulder of the road. Authorities haven't been able to figure out what was going on with that either. Now, you might remember back in 1997, Art Bell interviewed a fellow by the name of Mel Waters. Mel claims that there was almost an endless hole on his property near Ellensburg, Washington. As a matter of fact, I did some of the calculations because I listened to part of the old interview that Art did with Mel. At least 15 miles deep. It had no end to it. That's about as far as Mel had measured it because he kept putting string down there with a 1-pound piece of metal at the bottom of it to weigh it down. So at least 15 miles deep. I pulled out a little excerpt because I want you to hear this for a moment, because there's now a major push underway to try to find that hole and to try to find Mel Waters. Listen to this portion of Art's interview with Mel Waters from 1997.
This could be an apocryphal story, but one guy claims that he threw his departed canine down into the hole.
Oh, really?
And he swears, well, the story is the guy that did it swears the dog actually came back to him. And he was
really?
He was a hunter. The story is that he was a hunter, and he was out there hunting, and he saw the same dog. He had the same collar. He had the same little, little metal thing on his collar there. And he said it was the same dog. And he says he knew he threw the dog into the hole. But that's not, that's not my dog. That's not my.
It's not your story, but it's a story of a resurrected dog.
Yeah. This is, as you can well imagine, this is all Native American land around here. And so one of the lines of inquiries I'd like to make is, is there anything about this hole in regards to the Native Americans? That's something I haven't really pursued right now. But
if you had a fatal disease, Mel,
yeah,
would you jump in the hole?
I would.
You would? Just based on the dog story?
It is in my will.
What?
A classic, a simple classic. But there's a major effort underway to try to find Mel and the hole now. We're going to try to get behind it as well. I've received an email by a fellow by the name of Grant. I'm not going to give you his last name yet, but he is a moderator of a website called melshole.com. He is a serious researcher. Since 1997, he says no one has been able to locate the hole or Mel Waters, who obviously described the hole to Mr. Bell. Frankly, after dozens of searches, plus extensive research by many people, we're no closer to locating the hole when it first aired. Now, Grant is asking me to check into some information here, which he hopes would allow him to try to track down Mel. So we will be working on that in the not-too-distant future. We have re-emailed Grant and asked him to make himself available to come on the program to see what else he's been up to in the search for Mel Waters and the hole, which is one of the strangest stories I've ever heard. Now, we've got open lines for you. Here are the numbers. West of the Rockies, 800-618-8255. East of the Rockies, 800-825-5033. First-time caller line, 818-501-4721. And the wild card line, get ready, 818-501-4109. I'm George Norrie, and this is Coast to Coast AM. Our next hour guest, Jim Carroll, the magician, was on the Jay Leno show, and we've got some audio which I'm going to play for you sometime next hour with Jim. Unbelievable stuff. Now, this guy is good, but I'll tell you, Jay Leno was in shock after he witnessed what Jim Carroll can do. So make sure that you're listening very closely on that when I play that part of audio. Let's go to the phones. Wildcard line, welcome to Coast. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hello?
Hello, where are you?
I'm in Colorado.
Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, George. In 1998, I had a prophetic dream or out-of-body experience.
You did?
I'm a person who does not like heights. I don't even like to be in an airplane. But that night in 1998, I went to bed and found myself up above Oregon, the state.
Now, what did it feel like? For a person who hates heights, What was it like to be way up there in the air?
It was normal. I mean, it was natural.
Did you feel free, like a bird?
I don't know. It was just a natural thing, and don't ask me why, but it was. And I have never had such a thing happen to me before. So I looked down, and all of Oregon was gone. It was completely covered with sand. I have never seen so much sand. And there was not even one green leaf, tree, or car. You know how sometimes if there's been a flood, everything, is all piled outside?
Like nothing? No buildings? Nothing?
No buildings. It was all covered up with sand. And there was only lines of water left. It's just like after a big, heavy rain, you see the, lines of water left. Okay, I wasn't in any craft. You know how sometimes people say they're in a craft when they look down? I didn't see any of that. I just looked down, and there was all this disaster. And I don't have a clue how I got up there because I don't like heights. I thought to myself, and I thought, everybody has always told people in California that they would be the next, person that had a problem in California. But no one ever prepared me for Oregon, and this is why it was so unusual. And both me and my husband, we thought it'd be great if we could move to Oregon sometime. And then after I had that, I thought, forget it, I'm not going.
Well, you think it was a futuristic dream, like hundreds of years away?
I don't know. But all I'm saying is I'm just warning people, and I feel sorry for prophets after that because I know what they go through because you want to explain it to people, and people do not believe it, and it wouldn't do any good to tell people.
Sometimes people just won't listen. That's true. West of the Rockies, you're on Coast to Coast. It's your turn. Hi there.
Hello, George. Seamus here.
It's the voice of Seamus.
Long time no talk.
The Ghost Chaser and the Shadow Man. How are you, Seamus? What's going on?
I was kind of wondering, remember Prophet Jehovah, the guy that was going to summon those UFOs?
That was Prophet Yahweh.
Or Prophet Yahweh?
Yes.
Whatever in the world happened to him?
Well, after we interviewed him a couple times, and there was, as you know, a video from that Las Vegas television station that showed some object floating into the picture. That was strange. The good prophet had problems getting anyone to back him or to have any more show up. So what he decided to do was to go on a worldwide tour for 45 days, and he was going to call on these UFOs to show up in every city, and I don't know what happened to him.
Oh, well.
But he's out there because every once in a while I'll get an email from somebody who has heard about him or has read about him in their particular city.
Well,
so he's out there. It's like that movie, Radio Flyer, where that kid just sends in postcards from wherever he might be.
Right.
I think that's what's become of Prophet Yahweh.
Well, keep us posted, George.
Will do.
He's an interesting character.
Well, you put that mildly. Wild Card Line, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Mary from Cincinnati.
Hello, Mary from Cincinnati.
About a year ago, you had a Dr. Stephen Greer on about free energy.
Yes.
I haven't heard anything about it from now on, ever since then.
Well, we bring a lot of people on, Mary, to talk about energy. Stephen Greer, one of them, what he's trying to do is to get this 0-point energy. He thought he was pretty close to finding the machine that was working and could do that as a demonstration. I guess maybe it's time to get an update from him just to see what he's been able to do.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're interested in that stuff, huh?
Yes.
How come?
Well, for obvious reasons.
You want free energy.
Yeah.
Well, Bill's pretty tight for you now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not alone on that, Mary. Okay. All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Hey, open lines are going to continue. If you need to email me, that's George at Coast2, coasttocoastam.com. Whenever you get a moment, get up to the coasttocoastam.com website, especially with our guest coming in next hour, Jim Carroll, the magician. Take a look at some of the mind-boggling things that he has sent our way. There's one there called the flash numbers. I cannot figure it out. I'm getting close, I think. I think it has to do with some repetition of numbers. But it's unbelievable. So if you have a computer, you're in luck. Get up to the coasttocoastam.com website. Take a look at it before we crash his server. I'll be back in a moment. Open lines continue right here on Coast to Coast AM. Brad Elk knows a little bit about Mel's Hole. He visited it once. I think he said it was a volcano vent, if I can recall. Scott, by the way, a producer in Phoenix, Arizona, television producer, said he spent 2 days with Prophet Yahweh. That's the guy who summons UFOs. Last summer, he said it was a big, fat, nothing happened at all. But he did go ghost hunting last weekend. Scott did, not Prophet Yahweh. And he said some awesome stuff happened. Scott, keep in touch with us. Let us know what happened when you went ghost hunting. If you have not seen the Predictions television show and you live in Canada, tonight was the big debut there. But don't worry, it's going to be on for another week. All you have to do is go to www.predictions.tv, and it will guide you on where you can find the program. It is on cable right now in Canada and on satellite in Canada. And those of you in the United States that might have missed the show, you can look at it online by also going to predictions.tv. Let's go to the phones. Wildcard line, welcome to Coast. You're on the air. Hi there.
Hello?
Hi. Welcome to the show.
Hey, George. I had a question for you. I was wondering if you had any information or if you knew anything about a dig they did in Roswell, New Mexico. And it was an archaeological dig with scientists. And supposedly they dug up some stuff and they locked it up in a bank and they were going to take it out later and go over it.
Now, was this on Discovery? Because when they went out to Roswell, they did an archaeological dig about 2 years ago.
I think it was a couple of years back.
Yes,
so.
you are right. I did not know about the vaulting of whatever they might have found. I'm not familiar with that. But I know they went out there and took a look at it.
So you're not sure if what happened actually with what happened, in the end?
I don't think they found anything conclusive.
Okay. And one more question I had for you. You had a caller who called in, and it was about like an assassination or something. I was wondering if you could comment on it. It was in Grayling, Michigan. It was about 2 weeks ago, and apparently the guy's father was on his deathbed, and his uncle had been involved in some assassination of some guy who was going to come out with some information on UFOs.
Very good. Next Friday, February 10th, Linda Moulton Howe, who is talking to us that night that individual called us, has had an opportunity to talk with him. He gave us his phone number. She's interviewed him, and we're going to play that interview next Friday night. Not this Friday, next Friday night. So she'll be on, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Awesome. I'll listen. Thanks a lot,
Okay,
George.
yeah. Make sure you are listening because it is unbelievable. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hi, George. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
I just wanted to comment on, I believe his name is Dr. Torrey.
Dr. Louis Turry.
Yes, Turrey. I'm sorry. About the volcano prediction. And I was curious, I tripped my friends out because my friends at work, because I told them about this volcano that would hit the earthquake that would hit and Japan. And so they're going to really trip out when I tell them that it happened. I was curious if there was any recent predictions that he's made.
Well, yes, there are. As a matter of fact, he keeps talking about March 13th for something very, very big. So that's a couple months away. We'll have to watch that.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Thank you.
Okay. And don't forget, though, Stan Dale was the one who predicted this most recent Japanese earthquake. Wildcard line, welcome to Coast. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
Is this me?
Yeah. Hi. Welcome to the show.
Hi. I'm trying to tell you not to do the interview with the devil.
Not to do the interview. How come?
Well, basically, he's been granted power, and he can and will probably possess people, listeners, probably even yourself, because this is something you don't want to get involved with.
So you think that if he is on the air, that he, through his abilities, would be able to possess people?
Exactly.
You don't think he could possess people now?
They can only do what God allows them to do. But if you, it's like leaving the door open, saying, hey, let people just come in, whatever.
Well, we are taking some precautions. I will tell you that. I'm not going into this thing blindly at all. I'm going to be surrounded by someone from the clergy and several staff people, and we will perform the interview in a sacred place, and then I'm going to attempt to record it. I shall not do this live, nor do I think we have the capability of doing this live. So I'm taking all the necessary precautions to do that. Somebody sent me an email and said, George, you hate Ouija boards and you don't want to use them. Why interview the devil? I don't think you can control a Ouija board. Once you're playing with that planchette, anything can happen. Now, with the devil, this is just a Q&A. I mean, I want to know what things are like down there. I want to see what his plans are. I'm going to ask him who the Antichrist is. He may not answer, but we're going to take those precautions. I'm not worried about myself. Most of you are worried about me, but I am not. We'll be back in a moment. Coast to Coast continues. And welcome back, East of the Rockies. Your turn. Hi there.
Hi, George.
Hello.
I'm glad you took my phone call. Today's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I said, God, let me get through this time.
Okay, what does that make you? Let's see, your astrological sign would be, you're in January. Was that a Capricorn?
No, I'm an Aquarius.
Aquarius, okay.
I'm called a water child. And I love water.
See, it works.
George, I have a question, and I would like to know if anyone out there has heard of this new product that's out, and it's made from zeolite. And I don't know if anybody...
What does it do?
Well, I have a friend that has cancer, and I told her about it, and I said, there's this new stuff out there. It's made from zeolite, and that's like volcanic ash. But there's different kinds of zeolite, but it's called natural cellular defense.
Does it work?
You know what? The lady's still alive. And I ordered her 2 bottles, and I took it over there because she was supposed to be dead before Christmas.
Oh, my.
And hospice was in there. And so I called her, and I said, listen, I said, this stuff came in, and this was 2 days after Christmas. She was on... everything. Hospice was in her home.
They were ready to take her away.
Yes. The doctors told her to go home and get her affairs in order. This lady is still alive. She kicked them out after she was on it for 3 days. She called me and she said, guess what? Hospice is gone, and I just made my bed and made my breakfast.
Well, I think
what are you doing?
Well, I tell you what you got to do. We'll do some Google searching. I have not heard of this, and we normally don't put those kinds of remedies on the air, but it's well worth searching and checking into. And I'm glad she's going strong. A lot of it, though, could be her positive thinking too. If she believed it would work, it might have worked. And happy birthday once again, Wildcard Line. You're on the air. Hello. Going once.
Hello.
There he is. Hi.
Hello. This is Norm. I'm calling from Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Hi, Norm.
My wife and I run teams in a truck. We run a lot of north-south routes. About a month ago, you were talking about a lot of meteor showers and stuff like that.
Sure.
Well, we've taken to notice, and we've noticed mostly in the southern states at night, we got a contest going, who's seen more. 3-4 nights sometimes, and that's kind of unusual. Did you figure out if we were in a belt or anything?
Oh yeah, I think during that period, Norm, that might have been the Geminids at that time. There's a couple big waves of meteor showers. There's the Leonids and the Geminids, but I think it was the Geminids that you were in, and they are spectacular, aren't they?
Oh yeah, we've seen, and like I said, I'll get up from my shift and get ready to drive, and she'll say, "I saw 4. How many did you see?" So it's beautiful. It's just so many of them just kind of surprised us.
Have you seen that phony television commercial on the internet where this truck is bouncing along in the desert and a guy is videotaping it like his buddies, and they're all waving to him from the truck, and this meteor comes flying out of the sky and blows up this area, and the truck just keeps going. It's like a commercial for a truck company. It's never been aired on television. Maybe it's been aired in Europe. They do things like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I saw it. It might have been on the internet, but yeah, I've seen that. And the pickup comes rolling out. It's even meteor proof or something like that.
Yeah. Man, I would hate to be in a truck when that happens.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for the call. Appreciate you being on the show. First time caller line, you're up on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Well, good morning, George. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. That truck commercial has aired here on our local television.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really funny.
All right, then it's out there.
Absolutely. Hey, it's very intermittent that I get to hear your show because I'm never usually out this time of night, but I always try to catch it whenever I am. And this has been a few months ago, a couple of items that I heard that was covered and just never heard any more about them. One, of course, was the giants of the Solomon Islands.
The giants of the... Stephen Coyle updates us every once in a while on those. Nothing new to report.
Nothing new
since you last heard that.
And then the last time, I guess, was the fellow that was looking for Bigfoot.
Ah, well, he hasn't found Bigfoot. That I can report.
Okay.
He thought he had him. He thought he had him, but he didn't.
It sounded like he was ready just to run right out and grab him and drag him into the studio.
I know it. Well, I don't know if I'd let Bigfoot into the studio, but we'd put him in the producer's booth.
Oh, I see. There you go. But so no updates. I just thought as matter of fact as these people sounded, there's got to be wealthy, interested, adventurous, eccentric, whatever you like to call folks out there with if they thought they could get in on something like that, they'd have people all over.
Well, you would think that someone like that or a major television network, somebody would get behind a major documentary on the search for Bigfoot with the exclusive rights, to do like they did in the King Kong movies, to have the rights to just air this thing and all that. And that's not happening with Bigfoot.
Yeah. I know just a fella.
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera.
Put him out there. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Geraldo went into Al Capone's booth. Nothing there, right? What else did he do? Did he do the pyramids? Was he on that one?
Oh, I don't think he was. The only thing...
Somebody was with... Well, maybe... No, I think he was, wasn't he? With Zahi Hawass in Egypt?
Hawass, that guy's something, and I watched him the other night.
He is high energy.
Oh, golly.
He does love what he's doing. I just wish he'd have a little bit better open mind about the fact that the Egyptians might have gotten some extraterrestrial help out there.
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, George.
Appreciate you being on the program. Let's go to our East of the Rockies line. You're up. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name's Justin. I'm from Indiana.
Hi, Justin.
I have a question for you. It's like a dream that I had. I had this dream that I was like half awake and half asleep, but my dream, like, you know how like whenever you have a dream, you have your eyes open and like
you think it's like you're in the dream. You're awake. You're doing your thing. And if you know, by the way, that you're in a dream, you're fully aware that it's a dream, but it's a dream. It's called lucid dreaming.
And my eyes were open.
Yeah.
And I couldn't move, but I was trying to force myself awake. And I seen coming from the hallway, like, from what I've heard of what aliens look like, but I don't know if I've ever seen one unless this was real. And he had his arms coming out after me, but he was like maybe like 3 or 4 feet tall. And he had like a real big head, like from like what I've heard of what aliens look like.
How do you know you weren't really abducted?
I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't a dream.
I mean,
maybe it happened.
But then I like woke up and then like it was gone.
Well, wait a minute now. This is what some people who have been abducted say. They go through exactly what you went through. They don't have full recollection of everything that happened. Right. All right, the abduction, and then they're back in their beds again or wherever they might be. Maybe that's what happened to you. Very.
It was kind of like a dream. I mean, he like had his hands like out coming towards me.
Oh yeah, they're always like dreams, and that's how it starts. But you know, if you really want to find out what happened to you, go to a hypnotherapist. You know, find one of those in your area. You said you're in Indiana, so track one down. They might be able to help you. Next up, let's go to our wild card line. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hi.
Hello.
This is Eric out in Missoula, Montana.
Where it normally gets cold, but not anymore.
Yeah, it ain't been too cold up here.
No.
But I was wondering, you were about a month ago talking about that shoulder-launched rocket that was shot at a plane down there in L.A., and then we didn't hear nothing more about it.
Well, that was only a report. Nobody ever confirmed it, and it didn't go anyplace. But there were reports that a pilot coming out of LAX saw something go by his plane, but nobody knows exactly what it was. So the story died there, sadly enough. If it was a real story, they stepped on it and they quashed it.
See, that's what I was thinking. And of course, too, you know, the other thing I was going to say is I've seen that commercial for that pickup truck up here in Montana.
So it's on television now then?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I saw it on the internet first and thought it was just a spoof. So I guess it was a real commercial.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones. Okay, thanks. Speaking of commercials, Super Bowl time Sunday. Wonder what they're going to play this time. People have spent they in production spend more money to produce the commercials. I know some people at Anheuser-Busch, for example, they spend more money to make the commercials than they do to buy the time to air those things. And those events, and it's been going on for years, people would rather watch the commercials than the actual game. And that's the way it's been for a long, long time. Time for one more quick call. Hi there.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. I got a minute for you. It's all yours.
Okay, a minute. Hi, I'm Jack from Montreal. So real quick, George, the last 5 years, I know I'm being abducted. I can't believe I'm saying this. It took me so long to come out of this denial. My question briefly to you is, these pieces of metal and the scars that I have inside my body, that's like, I feel like a tagged deer at this point. What is this metal? Why do I have it? And
did you extract it, or is it still in your body?
I'm going to tell you something. It's going to blow your mind away. I actually tried to take one of them out, and it flew back into my hands, man. They're there.
You mean like a magnet? It went right back in?
Yeah, and in front of a friend I did it, you know. I just took a knife, and I just said, screw this, man. I'm like...
Okay, I'll tell you what you should do. I just had a guest on who could help you a lot. His name's Daryl Sims. Go to my website, coasttocoastam.com. On the left-hand side, look for show info and then guests, and then alphabetically just look for Sims, S-I-M-S, Daryl Sims. That's his name. Email him. He'll follow up with you. He'll tell you all about these implants, what they mean. He may want to meet you. He definitely may find a doctor who might want to operate and take one of those out. Try that. Also, there's Dr. Roger Lear. Same way you can find him on the website. Somebody will help you, I'm sure. I'll be back in a moment. We've got a magician rolling. Boy, I love magic. But tonight, this is different. Very, very different. Our guest, Jim Carroll. And we're going to dive into the mind with some of his extraordinary feats. Back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Jim Carroll began his career in entertainment. He began as a magician, and before he knew it, he found himself on the front page of newspapers all across the United States for correctly predicting the Pennsylvania lottery. Jim performed at colleges, universities, and was even invited to perform at the White House. He was then asked to tour the country with Guinness to promote their Millennium Edition Guinness book. The United States Playing Card Company then began sponsoring Jim, and together they developed a product called Cool Card Tricks. It wasn't until a few years ago that Jim began to dabble with memory techniques and other feats of the mind, which then led Jim to realize that he has finally found his niche. Jim actually became addicted to memorizing things. We're going to test him a little bit tonight. Today, Jim is one of the most sought-after acts in the entertainment industry, combining extraordinary feats of the mind with comedy. And don't be surprised if you see Jim in the final table, by the way, of the World Series of Poker or the World Poker Tour soon. We're going to find out about that. Jim, I want to make sure you didn't do a disappearing act on us. Hi, you're there, right?
Yeah, I'm here, George.
There you are. Good to talk with you. What a tremendous career you have, and it's really, got years and years to go. How did this all evolve for you?
Wow, it happened. I used to actually work at Bethlehem Steel. I was a steel worker till the age of 30, and I had a late start in the business. But the big thing that really launched it was that lottery prediction that you talked about. Like most of your guests that call in with dreams,
yeah,
that's what happened to me.
You dreamt the lottery numbers?
Oh, unbelievable. I'm sleeping, right? This is actually a true story. And the phone rings, I pick it up, I'm there, hello, and the voice on the other end goes, Jim, you were right. The Pennsylvania daily number on December 22nd was 222. And then I woke up. I'm like, what the heck was that? So I have a pad and pencil by my bed. I write this down, 222, December 22nd, and I went back to sleep. I wake up in the morning and didn't even realize I had the dream, walking around doing my thing. And when I went back to where the pad was, I see this 222, December, what's this? And all of a sudden, bam, the dream came back to me. And so I encourage everybody, write your dreams down. Oh, my gosh, there's something to them, because this one really worked out. So what I did was, every show this happened right around Thanksgiving back in 1990.
Uh-huh.
Every show that I did, I would hold up a sign at the end of my show, say, Merry Christmas from Jim Carroll. Play 222 December 22nd and you will win. I don't know why I did it. I just did it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then here's the ironic part. December 22nd comes, and my wife's there. Don't forget to play the ticket. You got to play the number 2. You know what I mean? So I go out, and there's a big line of people. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to be late for the show. So I thought, heck with it. So I went to my show, did my show. And then I come back home after the show, pick up the phone. You know how you have the voicemail?
Yeah.
And you have 77 messages in your mailbox.
Oh, my God.
Usually 7 you have.
Yeah.
So I start playing the messages. You're not going to believe this. It's freaky. All of a sudden, the voice goes, Jim, you were right. The Pennsylvania daily number was 222. The same voice as the dream. And it ended up being a gentleman, he was a chief of police at a township fire department that I did down there. So I started checking the messages, and here I found out 222 came up, and before you know it, newspapers are calling me, the National Enquirer's calling me. I'm finding myself on TV shows, and incredible. So write your dreams down. Oh, my gosh.
Well, before this happened, Jim, did you have this intuitiveness about you or this psychic ability about you?
I always had it and never really knew it. I guess everybody does. I think everybody has this. I think everybody has something in them. And when I used to work down at the steel mill, I discovered I could bend these spikes in my hands, with my bare hands, and I would give them to the general foreman. He'd hang them up on his door. And I don't know where that came from. I wasn't really a strong guy, and so I always had different things happening all my life, but never really pursued the business of magic until afterwards, until after the steel. When I got laid off, I had nothing else to do with my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there still a steel mill out there in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania? I had a friend of mine from the Navy. He used to work there, too, and I've lost touch with him. I don't know. I mean, our industry in this country is gone practically. Do they still really have a functioning plant out there?
Well, now this is a rumor I heard. I don't know how true it is because I no longer live in Pennsylvania, and it's ironic. All right, I pursued magic and poker, and that's what I used to do at the steel mill. I used to show tricks to the guys. They called me magic. I never did it professionally.
Yeah.
And I used to play poker and stuff like that. Now I hear Bethlehem Steel is becoming a casino. They built a casino.
No.
It's ironic. That's the rumor I heard. I'd like to know if
somebody will send us a message.
Unbelievable.
We have instant messages here through Fast Blast, we call it. Somebody will tell us what's going on out there.
That would be really ironic if that's true. But that's...
How seasoned were you when you dabbled in magic? I mean, were you David Copperfield-like?
Oh, no way. First of all, my dad loaned me some money when I got laid off at the steel, and I bought we put a magic shop in the front of my house. It used to be a grocery store years and years
A
ago.
shop to sell things or to just play around?
Just to play around and sell some stuff.
All right.
And I took a liking to it. Up until this point, I have never done a show. And then one thing led to another, and I really liked it. Started reading books, and I had all the books at wholesale price. So I started reading and reading. I mean, thousands of books I've read. And then one day somebody comes in and offered me hey, why don't you do some tricks at our banquet, a Boy Scout banquet? We'll give you a donation. I said, are you serious?
Say what? How much?
Yeah, I went up and did a show, and the guy gave me $35. Hey, being a laid-off steelworker back in that time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what led me into this. And before you know it, I started doing a few colleges, and I had a wild look to me. I was a crazy guy from working at a steel mill, so they nicknamed me Madman of Magic. And so I took it up, and one thing led to another, and then after the lottery prediction, they nicknamed me Psychic Madman. I'm not a psychic, and I'm not really a madman, but it fit, and it worked all these years, and here I am.
Yeah, I'm going to talk with you tonight about two different areas. One is, of course, magic, the kind of magic all of us have seen on television and really have grown up with since we were kids. And then there is this mental magic that you perform, Jim, which is truly amazing, which I want to talk with you about as well. How much of it is sleight of hand and illusion?
Well, what I do is some sleight of hand, and I call it sleight of mind. I like to play with people's minds and things like that. I have a pretty good memory that I developed, especially the last couple of years, and we could get into that. But I like to call it like magic of the mind. I'm not like a David Copperfield. He's the best with the big illusions and things like that. I like the one-on-one type of magic with a small group of people, and like most of my college shows, they range from like 50 people up to like 500 people, and that's kind of what I do.
Well, how can a magician? Wasn't it Copperfield who made a 747 disappear?
He did a little.
I mean, how do they do that?
Statue of Liberty. Everything's an illusion. It's an illusion, and that's the fun part, trying to figure out how it's done. See, once you know how to do it, it's no fun anymore.
It's always a trick, though, right?
Well, the magicians are tricks.
Yeah.
Some of the mentalists, it's a little different. Some of them aren't tricks. Some of the stuff they do it's pretty unique.
How many mentalists plant a friend in the crowd?
Well,
be honest.
You're putting me on the spot here. Well, some people might do that. I mean, there are mentalists that are magicians, but there are also some guys that do some stuff that's pretty amazing. Some of the people I've met in the college market, God, they do things I don't even know how they're doing it. So that's what it's like. It's all up to the individual to try to figure it out. Is it an illusion? Is it scientific? Is it supernatural? And
did you get better as the years went by?
Well, yeah. Every year, the crowds are getting bigger. The college, I'm getting more and more shows, and since I started dabbling with the mind, the memory stuff, oh my gosh, everything's going nuts here. And I started training a couple of younger people. They're in their 20s, and they graduated from Penn State when I entertained at their college, and now I added them to the show, and it's just becoming a huge show. We call it Mind, Magic, and Madness.
I want to jump ahead for a moment. You were on the Jay Leno show, and I've got a little clip of audio I want to play, but I want you to set it up, Jim. This had to do with, of course, a trap and a glass bottle. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to hear. Obviously, I wish we could all see it, but what are we going to hear?
Well, it's actually something stupid. I put my hand years and years in this fox trap, and I got a call about appearing on a Tonight Show. So I told them I got a bigger trap, and I never had put my hand in this bear trap up until that point. And it's a big bear trap. You can see it on your link to my website. I think there might even be a video.
Okay.
And we put it on a Tonight Show. Jay put goggles on. I had goggles. The whole audience has plastic holding up because we put a beer bottle in the trap, and it's just it shattered it in the middle. Just to show the authenticity of the trap. And then Jay said, "Well, what are you going to do now, Jim?" I said, "Well, Jay, I'm going to attempt to put my fingers in there," and that's what I did. And that was the actual first time I've ever attempted it. I mean, I tried it at home with a big heavy glove on, and it hurt like heck. So I thought, after the Tonight Show, I'm going to take the glove off, and bam, I stuck my hand in the thing. And now I call it the power of positive thinking, the power of the mind, and Now I know it can't hurt me, so I do it at every show now.
All right, this was not a trick.
No, the bear trap is not a trick
This
whatsoever.
was not a trick. Okay, let's do that, and hopefully we use these traps for magic and for what you just did. Do they still use them on animals around this country?
Oh, the poor animals! I'll tell you.
I would hope they would stop doing that. But let's listen to this clip from the Jay Leno show. This is Jim Carroll now. He has got this trap. He puts a bottle in it to test it, and then he puts his arm in there.
Jim Carroll, Jim Raya. Jim, come on out here. Okay, just to show it's a real trap. And you haven't changed the tension of the spring, right?
No,
this is the real...
I've never even done it before barehanded. We're going to try it.
You're going to try it?
Yeah, we'll try it. Here we go.
All right, here we go. Out!
All right.
Okay, all right, there you go. Okay. All right, be careful. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, just got a perfect.
Man, I can't. Oh, now you might take a step.
You all right?
I'm fine.
Jim, I'm still grimacing in pain.
Oh, jeez. He got his fingers caught in it when he was trying to get it off me. So he knew it was real.
Oh, my. Did it hurt at all?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I'm not going to lie about it. It hurts.
But it didn't snap your hand off.
No, not so far.
Should it have? If you didn't have this powerful thinking, what should have happened to you?
I don't know. You know, I had a lot of medical people examine me and stuff, and they're wondering, you have all these little bones and tendons, why it doesn't do any damage. I don't know. I have no explanation for how I do that. I really don't, George.
Well, have you morphed then from being just a magician into someone who truly is using your mind to do some incredible things?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I'm more into the mind now. I kind of like, well, one of the things I got into now is the poor guy that I'm training. He does things even more dangerous than I do now. He stands on broken glass with his bare feet, jumps up in the air and does a backflip and lands on the glass, proving that pain is all in your mind. So the show is called Extraordinary Feats of the Mind because it dabbles with the memory, how to play with minds and have fun with it. That's what my book is called, 50 Ways to Hustle Your Friends. And then it goes all the way down to the level of pain control with the mind.
No, what do you mean you're training someone?
Well, his name
got an assistant?
Yeah. He's his name is Chris Chelko. I was performing at Penn State University, and he approached me with his friend Michael Dubois, and they were seniors, and they said, "Hey, we'd like to do this for a living. You're really cool," and this and that. And I said, "Well, what do you guys do?" And he takes off his socks and shoes and dumps all these broken bottles on the ground and starts walking on them. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, but, I travel around the world with the Guinness Book of Records, and there's a number of guys that do that. I said, you're going to have to do something more than that. His buddy Mike jumps up on his shoulders, stands on his shoulders, George, while he's standing on the glass, and starts juggling machetes over his head. I couldn't believe that. So I said, yep, you guys are going to come on a road with me. I'll take you on a road. And within 6 months, I had them on the Tonight Show doing that. So that's kind of what we do now. It's a very unique. The whole show is about the mind, and it's just crazy. It's incredible what your mind can do if you really study. And
does the glass pierce the skin at all?
You got to ask him that. I mean, I don't know how he does it. I'm the guy that's into the pain control, but I could never stand on that glass.
Did you even try?
Nah, I don't even want to.
You won't even go there.
No. That's something that you can see. I have to think positive, and I'm very negative about it.
Well, in the minute you doubt it,
yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I can just feel stepping on that.
I know
it's going to go right through you.
Yeah, just like it. Yeah, I feel like it's all positive thinking when it comes to the pain control stuff.
What do you think is out there in the universe, Jim, that allows you to do what you do?
I don't know. I'm trying to discover that myself right now, and that's why I listen to your show every week. Sooner or later, I'm going to get the answer.
But see, that's what's so fascinating. I mean, you really are innocent with all this.
Yeah, I don't know what. Well, like I said, like with that dream I had, I don't know where that came from. Telling me to play this, and then the one time I'm doing a show in Buffalo. Now this story fits your show. I'm driving home from the show from Buffalo. All right. And I lived in Allentown, Pennsylvania at the time, living here in Allentown, like the Billy Joel song. That's what my life's like. And I'm driving down this interstate, I think it was 390 or something, and I see this sign. It's about 1 in the morning, and it says Corning, 70 miles. And Corning's my halfway home point. And I'm like, okay. All of a sudden, it's getting really foggy, really super foggy. And you know how you have the little white lines on the road where people pass you? I couldn't even barely see. I'm like looking out the side of the window. I could barely see these lines. It's getting so far. All of a sudden, I'm like getting tired and everything. And I thought maybe I should pull over, all right? Then all of a sudden, it's like dawn. I'm like, what is going on here? And I see a sign that says Corning 2 miles. And I look at my clock, it's 5 in the morning.
You lost 4 hours.
Yeah, I swear, true story. I don't know what that was.
You were abducted.
I hope not. Man, who knows? But ever since then, that's when I really, it seems like my whole career took off. So maybe something happened, I don't know.
Well, what was that John Travolta movie where he got hit by a beam of light?
Oh, yeah, Phenomenon.
Yeah.
That had a tragic
anything
ending.
like that happen to you? Yeah, it did have a tragic ending. So it doesn't happen for you, but I mean, did anything like that ever happen? Did you get hit by lightning or anything?
No, nothing like that. Like I said, the most mysterious thing that ever occurred was, besides the dream, was that trip home, and I'll never forget that. And you know what? It's ironic. I ended up moving to central New York, upstate New York. Like, what? Does something compel me to move up here or what? I don't know.
I had a truck driver called us a couple of weeks ago, and we were just talking about things, and he had lost time for 150 miles. He was driving a truck, which I think had like some kind of fuel on it, a tanker truck, and he said, George, I can't remember 150 miles.
Wow.
Now, that's a pretty long way to be driving and not remember anything.
I'd like to know what's up with all this stuff, because it happened to me, and I'm about the most honest guy you're ever going to talk to. I would, believe me, that something went on there, and I don't know what it is, and now all of a sudden I go from Bethlehem steel worker to, and my high school, George, let me tell you something. I failed chemistry, all right? I didn't do well in high school, and now I do lectures across the country for corporations and college students and professors, and I don't know what happened all of a sudden. And now, like, I made a bet with a guy about the periodic table of elements. Now, once again, I flunked chemistry. Back then, I'm lucky if I knew 3 of them. Now I memorized the whole thing in 45 minutes, never forgot it.
That's amazing.
I don't know what's happening.
Let's test your memory a little bit when we come back. Can we do that, Jim?
Okay, George.
We'll do that. Jim Carroll, our guest tonight. Later on, we'll open up the phone lines. This is pretty fascinating stuff, so get your questions ready later. We'll be back. Well, we've got some information on Bethlehem Steel. Tony, I won't give you his last name, but he is the Director of Community and Economic Development out there for the city of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He wanted to confirm that a casino is indeed being proposed for a portion of what was the former Bethlehem Steel plant. And the Las Vegas-based Venetian is developing the program, so that could very well happen. We'll be back in a moment with our guest, Jim Carroll, on Coast to Coast AM. Jim's website, by the way, is mindwiz, WIZ.com, linked up at coasttocoastam.com. Well, there you have it, Jim. If things work out, a part of the plant will be turned into a casino out there.
Amazing. That is amazing. I mean, here I leave the plant, and I could end up coming back down one day to perform at this casino or do a poker tournament. It's incredible.
Tell me a little bit now. The strength of what you do now is what? All mind?
Yeah, it's a lot of energy. I don't know where it comes from. Like I said, I start doing this show, and all of a sudden, this energy just flows from my. I become like this crazy guy on stage, throwing stuff around, and then I have like I said, I developed this ability to I don't know, just read people. I can kind of tell when they lie, when they tell the truth. I think it comes from cramming my mind with this memory stuff. I mean, you have to see me. I'm on the exercise bike, and I'm looking through flashcards and, of Hall of Famers in the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame, words in the Scrabble Dictionary, World Series, Super Bowl, and it's just crazy what I got going on. And I keep, it's like I got addicted to this. I got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And the more I do it, the more powerful my mind gets. And it's like it's getting scary right now. The intuition is getting really scary.
Has it saved you from any bad situations?
Yeah, on a lot of it. First of all, this is my livelihood now. Oh my God, I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't entertaining. Jeez,
that's true.
Alone,
that's scary all by itself, isn't it?
Yeah, but the memory stuff, George, I don't know how it's happening because, like I said, I like to. The people even nickname me. I'm like Rocky Balboa mixed with Rain Man, because I come from. I'm a regular guy. Come on, I worked at a steel mill. I was a regular average, probably a below average student, and I went to the local community college and couldn't handle that. I was a criminal justice major, and I don't know. Maybe things just sparked later in life. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, I'm like becoming this memory fanatic. You should see me. I'm up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning every night. I listen to your show, and as I'm listening to the show, this is when I'm home. I'm looking at flashcards until I fall asleep. It's like I can't stop doing it. I don't know what's going on.
You're obsessed by it?
Yeah, I'm actually obsessed by memorizing lists of things.
All right, so how can I throw you through a quick little test here?
Well,
Jim, what's out there? What do I throw zip codes at you?
But tell me a zip code.
And then you'll tell me the city?
Well, sometimes. I don't have all of them memorized.
What if I tell you the city, you tell me the zip code?
No, I do it the other way around.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, 48125.
Now, instantly, when you say 48, I know I know the general vicinity. It's like right around. Is it like Dearborn Heights?
Yep.
I think it's called? Yeah. Are you serious? Yeah, I got that one. Yeah. See, sometimes I miss the little towns. The little towns are really tough. It's like most of the people, I'd say like 75-80% of the people in the country live in a big city, and that's you study the big cities and then you study the surrounding towns and it's
and I got to tell you, you're faster than some people are probably saying, all right, he's sitting by his computer.
I know.
No, you're faster than that.
That's why I like to do it in person. Like most of the stuff, like the hardest thing to learn, the most ironic thing was when I was learning the countries and the capitals, because there are several hundred countries, all right? And I put them on the flashcards. This is a true story, once again, and I'm like, I go through them in my mind once or twice, and then I went to sleep. And then I'm sleeping, and I'm dreaming that I'm reading the flashcards. Honest to God. And I wake up, and I had them memorized. And that really blew my mind away. I like to talk to some kind of psychologist or medical. Is that possible? Or I don't know what happened there. So, yeah, the mind is very unique. The human mind is incredible. Oh, my God. I wish I would have been educated when I was younger to know how the heck I'm doing half the stuff I'm doing.
63017.
That's out in Chicago, near Chicago.
It's Chesterfield, Missouri.
Yeah. Is that Missouri?
Yes.
Wow, you got me stumped. I thought that was Chicago.
63017.
Yeah. See, like I said, I don't know all of them. I know about maybe 90%.
Well, how many are there?
I don't even know. Maybe are there 100,000 at least?
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Got to be.
And then another thing I got is the Super Bowl scores. I was always into with Super Bowl right around the corner.
Do you predict scores?
Yeah, you know what? I do. I predict stuff, and sometimes it comes true, sometimes it don't. Like at the beginning of the year, I told everybody the Steelers and the Bears. The Bears let me down. I predicted the Steelers and the Bears in the Super Bowl, and the Bears didn't make it, but the Steelers
did.
The Steelers did, but hey, the Bears
strong team.
They shocked a lot of people.
Strong team.
So yeah, I'm pretty good with the sports. I follow sports, and like I said, I memorize all the scores. Like you can name a Super Bowl and tell you who won, what the score was, and stuff like that. But yeah. Or the pro football players, like the whole Hall of Fame. I sit back down and memorize people's names in the Hall of Fames, and that's pretty easy. Because everything has like a ring to it. Like I associate things with celebrity. This is how I do it. I'm going to tell you. I like celebrity names. I have the first. I started by memorizing. This is going to sound weird. I memorized a list of 100 celebrity names.
Like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, like Tom Cruise was 15th on my list. All right, like I have names, and this is how I taught Chris, the other guy, and Mike. All right, you start with the celebrities, and then I link other things to the celebrities, like with a little funny picture, like Tom Cruise. Say I want to remember the Bahamas. I linked Tom Cruise to the Bahamas. I visualized cruising the Bahamas. And this is what I did. I put this whole thing together, and it's like so bizarre. And then it turns from 100 celebrities to 1,000 celebrities, and I got all these baseball players, football players. And that was confusing enough. And then when I started throwing numbers in the mix, started memorizing pi. Oh, my gosh, that is really hard to try to memorize pi because you can't associate it with anything. You just got to rattle them off. So I started trying to memorize pi. And then I'm at a school, University of Rochester, and I bump into this college student, and he has 2,000 or 3,000 digits of pi memorized. So I'm like, what the heck? How could you possibly know that? Who has that? I thought I had a boring life. God. And, you know, I was up to a couple hundred digits, and when I seen this kid had that many, I stopped. I thought, I'm not going to pursue this anymore because I'll never even catch that guy. So it's a phenomenal thing, the mind, I'm telling you.
Now, why do you try to memorize all this stuff?
I have no idea. It's just something I started, and like I said, I'm addicted to it, and it's a good thing to be addicted to, and who knows, maybe it could...
How about mathematical numbers, Jim? I mean, if I said 825 times 130...
Well, now you got to talk to my good buddy, Scott Flansburgh.
So he does that?
Oh, Scott is the best in the business. Scott's known as the human calculator.
Oh, yeah, I talked to him years ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Really?
Okay,
yeah.
Yes.
Well, he's one of my good buddies, and see, he does. You know how if you could name a date, and Scott will tell you the day of the week it fell on, because he does it with a mathematical formula really fast in his head. Now, what I did was I memorized all the dates of all the days in a week, all the way back to almost 1 AD. You could name a date, and I tell you what day of the week it fell on.
Okay, let me just throw one.
Your birth date or anything.
December 7, 1941. What day was that?
41 is a 2, so December 7th, that's a Sunday.
It was a Sunday. All right.
See, now Scott is faster than me, but he does it mathematically where I have to memorize all this stuff. Because he even told me, he goes, what, are you crazy trying to memorize all these dates? There's a simple formula. And he started doing this thing now. He calls it where everybody, all your listeners, you, me, everybody can become a human calendar. He has a new calendar system he's developing now where everybody can do this, and I'm anxious to see what that's going to turn out to be like, because I know how that took me a long time to memorize all those dates, and for him, he just rattles them out. I don't know how he does it.
I'd rather just go to my wall and look at the old calendar.
I'm telling you, yes. But this is what it's like, George. It's a strange thing that. And then you bump into these strange people like that, that they have talents as well with it.
Have you ever had your mind, your brain checked, scanned?
No, I'd be interested in doing that.
I bet if a doctor looked at it, he'd say, this is an electronically active brain.
Wow.
You must have electrodes buzzing all over the place.
I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't go to sleep.
That could be.
Yeah, I'm constantly up, and even when I go to sleep, I won't sleep long.
What I'm really fascinated in is your ability of intuition, because this is something I think we all have. A lot of people don't act on it. A lot of people can't perfect it. But intuition, I think, is a part of us. It's a mechanism that allows us to do some incredible things. It saved my life one day when I was going through a green light. I stopped because I didn't want to go anymore. I just felt strange. I thought something was going to happen. Sure enough, had I continued, I would have been rammed because a guy went through his red light.
Unbelievable.
Now, that's intuition, and that's how it kicks in at its best. Do you do things like that?
Yeah, that happened. Something similar happened to me. I was driving to a college in Connecticut to do a show, and there's this truck in front of me, like a pickup truck, and he had one of those trailers with a tractor on it or something.
Yeah.
And I see it bouncing around, wobbling, and all of a sudden, something's telling me, yo, something's going to happen. And the last minute, I turned to go into the other lane, and don't the trailer go flying off, boom, 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 hitting the guardrail and jumping. That, if that, I don't know, is that intuition? I don't know how that happened, but, so yeah, kind of similar to yours. And in my show, what I do is I kind of incorporate that in the show where I get somebody up on stage, and I'll get 10 people, give somebody a $100 bill, and the person that comes up on stage, I give them 5 chances to pick a person, and they pick a person. If they could pick the person that has the $100 bill, they get to keep it, and nobody ever won yet. That's why. And what I do is I kind of like.
And they got a 20% chance, don't they?
Yeah. But I kind of like force your decision on things. I'm very good at that. Figure like if I walk around a dining hall at a college, I could kind of tell like who likes you, who don't like you, who thinks, hey, get out of here, get lost, bald-headed
Really?
guy.
You can tell that?
I'm telling you, it's getting stronger and stronger by the year, especially with the lying. Oh my God, you cannot lie to me. My kids hate me. I'm telling you, they can't lie.
Do you look at something?
The eyes. I look in your eyes, and it's the eyes and the facial expressions and different twitches. And don't get me wrong, I'm not 100% accurate, but probably a good 90, a high 90 percentile. And so I created this thing in the show, and I call it Jim Carroll's lie detector chair, the truth chair. And what I do is I get somebody to sit on a chair. I mean, that's like everybody goes hysterical over this trick. And I kind of look in their eyes. I said, look in my eyes. You're going to get a shock on your butt if you tell a lie, And the kids ask them questions, and if they tell a lie, bam, they hop off the chair. It's just phenomenal. That is and so that's how I incorporate the intuition in the show and the influencing the thought and stuff like that. I call it. But like I said, I'm all about having fun, and it's a great time. But like I said, it's all. The mind is so powerful. It's just people, you could, gosh. The mind is so powerful. It's amazing what the human mind can do.
Can you teach people to have a better intuition or better memory?
That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm teaching these two guys. I taught my little boy, but like I was on Rosie O'Donnell's show a long time ago, and my little boy was only 6 or 7. And he did some stuff like that over the telephone with her, but he doesn't want to travel, and I don't want to force him. So that's why I train.
Oh yeah, he's just a little guy.
Yeah, that's why I train these two guys. And so it can be taught. I'm teaching that, and even the memory stuff can be taught to how to improve your memory skills.
I remember a friend of mine was watching television, and up popped on the TV some tapes on how to improve your memory, and she got all excited because she's got a horrible memory. And, they flashed this toll-free number, and she got disappointed because she forgot the number and never ordered the tapes.
That's incredible.
Of everything that you've done in your career, what stands out right now for you?
As far as my big high or big moment? That just happened recently. I did my wife, she loves Aerosmith. She loves the band Aerosmith and Steven Tyler. And her big dream was, she would love to meet him one day. Yeah, dream on, like the song goes. That's never going to happen, right? And I had two people that I knew, really good friends of mine, in Boston, and they hooked me up to do a show at a private restaurant down there, and he's affiliated with the restaurant. And I'm doing my show, and who pops in but Steven Tyler? All right.
See, how about that for synchronicity?
I'm telling you, I call it good karma or something. I don't know what it is.
And as you know, no coincidences out there.
I'm telling you, that's ironic. What are the chances, especially with him touring and everything else? And so he's there, and he's watching my show. And he's standing right behind my wife, and my wife didn't even know it. Oh, my gosh. So he watched my whole show. I seen him standing there, and then he even had his hands over his face so I wouldn't pick on him and stuff like that. And then after the show was over, they introduced me to him and my wife and taking pictures and hanging out with us for about an hour. Coolest guy in the world. Oh, my God. So that was probably the big high in my life so far because...
You made her happy.
I made my wife. That was giving her the best Christmas present she could have had.
Good for you.
So, man, that's kind of...
All right, do a little opening for us. But keep in mind, this is radio, so we're going to have to visualize this and you. But, let's say you come out on stage. What do we expect here?
Well, I started off with a little magic, all right? I do this routine called Star Trek that I created about 20 years ago. And someone holds 2 cantaloupes or 2 honeydew melons or whatever, all right? And I have this big, giant deck of cards, not a regular deck of cards. And then one person is Mr. Spock or Captain Kirk, and the other one's a planet, and depending on what planet they name, it could be funny, and then the person with the melons is a Klingon warship. And I started every show like this for 20 years, George. It's incredible. And what happens is it's a lot of funny bits, they rotate around the planet. She walks around with the 2 melons. And
I'm sure you play with the melons.
Yeah, there's a lot of good jokes here. And then so So what happens is the other person, who is Mr. Spock, picks a big jumbo card, any card they want. They rip it up in pieces and keep one of the pieces in their hand.
Okay.
Then I say, what's going to happen right now is you're going to beam that card into the planet, all right, the balloon. It's a big balloon that the guy's holding.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tell them to make a noise. They go beep, 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 and whatever. It's really funny because you got these old corporate people making beeping sounds, and it's so funny. And then
these are people who fire people, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, my gosh. So, yeah, heads roll in the corporate market if you don't go over well.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, the card does not appear in the planet like I expected. I'm like, oh, darn. I said, well, maybe your aim was off. Maybe you beamed into one of the Klingon warships, and they pick one of the melons, all right? Then I pull out this big, giant knife, and I do some byplay with the knife where I make it look like it goes in my arm, and it's really funny looking and stuff. And then to make a long story short, when I cut the melon open, there's this big jumbo card inside with a piece missing. And then when they match the piece up, it matches
there
perfect.
It is.
Yeah, that's called my starch.
That's pretty good.
20 years I've been doing
Now, I got to believe there's no card in the melon. You somehow sleight of hand got that thing in there.
Actually, I think they're grown like that with the card in. I don't know.
With the advent of television and digital television and the ability now to look at things frame by frame, can they videotape you? You know, let's say when you're on Leno's show or a television show and you're doing a magic trick.
Right.
Can an editor, if he wanted to find out what you're doing, can he go back there and look at this frame by frame, and will he see what you're doing?
Yeah, you know, some things you might, but most of the stuff you won't. I mean, I let people videotape my shows all the time. I don't care. Let them replay.
And they still can't find it.
You won't. Not for that. You won't. That you won't discover. And the bear trap obviously is real. And a lot of the mind stuff that I do with the young guy Chris that I trained, nobody has figured that out yet. That's taken the country by storm. We came up with this thing. Oh my God!
Are you at a church, by the way?
No, that's my clock.
Oh. I thought this was I thought you were watching A Christmas Carol with Scrooge or something. It sounded like that.
It's 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what that means.
That's a big clock.
Yeah, it is. It's a big grandfather clock. But yeah. So it's the two-person mind thing that I do is kind of like a telepathic thing, and nobody could figure it out. I mean, the best minds, the best magicians, the sharpest minds in these colleges, no one till today has figured it out. We came up with this about a few months ago, and it's the most powerful thing that I do.
Can you do any mind tricks with callers? Does that work at all?
Well, you know what we could do? I could actually teach. I could teach you and your callers a trick or two.
Okay.
If they want. From my book, I'll teach you right after this.
Do you want us to open up the phone lines now?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. We'll be back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. And our special guest tonight is entertainer, magician, mind man Jim Carroll. And we'll be back. We'll take your phone calls. We'll continue chatting with him about how to build on our memory and our intuitiveness right here on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. Jim Carroll, our guest tonight, and we'll take your phone calls. And I'll tell you what, you can be part of this learning curve that Jim is going to teach us. You can just ask him a question if you want about magic or mind, and I'll allow you to just do what you want to do when you call in, because this is fascinating. Why do people love magic, Jim? I mean, absolutely love magic.
Yeah,
is it because when we were kids?
Everybody, geez, I know. Since we're kids, yeah, everybody just loves magic. You know what? Everybody, that's why everybody loves this show. They're thrilled with anything mysterious, that they don't have the exact answer. How's it done? You know, are aliens real? Is this? You know, it's the mystery of it. I guess that's what we love. Everybody loves the mystery of it. Everybody loves to be fooled too, and you know, you could perform for elementary school kids. You could perform for doctors and lawyers, policemen, prisoners in a prison, college. Everybody, senior citizens, everybody loves it. I mean, no matter what walk of life. There are people that don't like it either, but but most of them like it.
Yeah, but you know what? If somebody watches a great magic trick and doesn't smile or laugh or just scratch their head, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, I love magic. I love all the guys. So many great magicians out here. I love like Copperfield's fantastic. Penn and Teller are different. They're cool. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're a little different. They're a little out there, but that's I like that kind of stuff. And the amazing Jonathan in Vegas. Oh my, so many great magicians out here, and I think I got into the best hobby in the world, and now
you turned it into an avocation.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I do not like clown magicians. Got a little hang up about that.
Yeah, clowns. I'm afraid of clowns. I don't know.
You are too?
Yeah.
Have you been in an event and there's a clown there?
No, the thing is, my oldest boy is.
January. Well, listen to this. Warmest on record in Oklahoma, South Dakota, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Kansas City, Missouri, Riverton, Wyoming, Epley Airfield in Omaha, Nebraska, barely missing the record in Iowa. Second warmest in Maine and in Milwaukee. Third warmest in Memphis, Tennessee, and in Detroit. Fourth warmest in New York's Central Park area. That's tied with January of 1913 there. Very warm in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Louisville, Kentucky. Eighth warmest in Denver, the warmest since 1986. 10th warmest winter in Baltimore. Warmest since 1950 in Buffalo and Nashville, Tennessee. 12th warmest in New Mexico, and Minneapolis-St. Paul had the warmest January in 160 years. Why? Well, they say the current warmth is caused by the very unusual position of the jet stream, the high-altitude river of air that flows west to east across the United States and North America. It divides warm air from cold, but they say over the coming week, the jet stream is expected to return to its usual wavy pattern, bringing real, normal cold air to the eastern U.S. once again. And if they haven't had enough, in New Orleans, tornadoes racing through New Orleans, many in the exact spots where a lot of the homes were destroyed. How much more can they take there? Water ice present on the surface of Comet Tempel 1 suggest observations from NASA's Deep Impact mission. They say this is the first direct detection of exposed water ice on a comet, but the mission's science team says the water ice is presently in surprisingly small amounts, covering less than 1% of Comet Tempel's surface. They are throwing out old assumptions about comets because they said they're just getting new data all the time. A strange story out of Ellensburg, Washington, where Mel Waters is supposed to reside, Mel's Hole. Well, first of all, let me tell you the strange story, and then an update on Mel and Mel's Hole. A man who owned 3 McDonald's fast food franchises crashed his truck on Interstate 90 in Washington State. He climbed out, he took his clothes off, stood in a traffic lane, and was run over and killed. 30 States Coast Guard found that boat. It was empty. Only 2 of the 3 engines were running. The boat had 2 brand new GPS recording systems. Both of them were blank, no data. There were 2 200-pound coolers on that boat that were missing. 2 200-pound coolers gone. The food in the coolers was not taken. Steaks, shrimp, etc., thrown all over the boat. The guy was 45 years old, apparently in great shape, weighed about 200 pounds. He was a kickboxing champion. But this happened in the Bermuda Triangle. Al Bielek, you know him from the Philadelphia story, the Philadelphia experiment. 79, 80 years old. I've just found out that he has now suffered a second stroke. Happened a couple months ago, but I just found this out. We knew about the first one. He is home now. Apparently, Al Bielek is in severe financial straits right now. I'm just going to give you their website, and you do with it as you may. Al Bielek, of course, has been just a great guest on Coast to Coast over the years, talking about that Philadelphia experiment and how the Navy tried to make a ship disappear, and he was on that, he says. www.philadelphia-experiment.com. You can read up a little bit more about the plight of Al Bielek, and our prayers go out to him and wish him a speedy recovery. He's a tough guy. In New York, a man jumped to his death from the Empire State Building after buying a ticket to go to the observation deck. Now, he didn't go all the way up. He apparently jumped from a vacant office on the 66th floor of the 102-story building in Midtown Manhattan. More than 30 people have committed suicide at the Empire State Building since it opened in 1931. In Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, well, don't put those winter coats away just yet. The world's famous weather prognosticating groundhog awakened from his burrow at 7:23 a.m. Eastern Time. He saw his shadow, a sign that there'll be 6 more weeks of winter. But where is winter? Because people around the country are beginning to say, this is one of the most mild winters we've ever had. The balmy weather, though, they say, could soon end. But just how warm was January? Of Angels off the Pacific Ocean. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be, across the nation, around the world. I'm George Norrie. Welcome to Coast AM. Open lines for you this hour. I'll give you the numbers in just a moment. Next hour, is it magic or extraordinary feats of the mind? With guest Jim Carroll. Well, let me tell you, if you get up to the coasttocoastam.com website, just take a look at some of the things that Magician Jim has sent on to Lex that we posted on the website. I'm still trying to figure out how some of those things work. They're absolutely stunning. Well, about a week or so ago, Stan Dale was on the program. He was talking about a major earthquake that he envisioned near Honshu, Japan, off the coast there, the eastern coast of Japan. And sure enough, just moments ago, they had a 5.8 magnitude event. Now, Stan had thought it would be a bigger one and could create a tsunami. Now, this was 5.8, but is it a prelude of things to come? But I got to say that was a hit for Stan Dale. Congress has sent President Bush a second 5-week extension of the Patriot Act as Senate negotiators work to close a deal with the White House on renewing the anti-terrorism law with some new civil liberty protections for all of us. Well, they're saying, Alan Specter is saying, we need the Patriot Act. I'm prepared to work on it further to improve it. He's the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. 16 provisions of the 2001 law were to have expired last December 31st, but Congress extended them until Friday after Democrats and a handful of Senate Republicans demanded an avenue of appeals when the FBI makes demands for people's financial and other private records. The Senate voted 95-1 just moments ago to extend the current law unchanged through March 10th and give negotiators a little more time to reach a deal. The law makes it easier for federal agents to gather and share information in what they call terrorism investigations, install wiretaps, and conduct secret searches of households and businesses. At issue are 16 provisions that Congress wanted reviewed and renewed by the end of last year. I do hope that they bring in these new civil liberty protections because even in the act, 5 years old, he owned 3 fast food restaurants. Apparently he was doing very well, but nobody knows what happened. I mean, it was freezing out. He took his clothes off and got hit by another vehicle. Now, to add mystery to all this, a dead dog was found near the truck. The dog's carcass straddled the 2 eastbound lanes near the shoulder of the road. Authorities haven't been able to figure out what was going on with that either. Now, you might remember back in 1997, Art Bell interviewed a fellow by the name of Mel Waters. Mel claims that there was almost an endless hole on his property near Ellensburg, Washington. As a matter of fact, I did some of the calculations because I listened to part of the old interview that Art did with Mel. At least 15 miles deep. It had no end to it. That's about as far as Mel had measured it because he kept putting string down there with a 1-pound piece of metal at the bottom of it to weigh it down. So at least 15 miles deep. I pulled out a little excerpt because I want you to hear this for a moment because there's now a major push underway to try to find that hole and to try to find Mel Waters. Listen to this portion of Art's interview with Mel Waters from 1997.
This could be an apocryphal story, but one guy claims that he threw his departed canine down into the hole.
Oh, really?
And he swears, well, the story is the guy that did it swears the dog actually came back to him. And he was
really?
He was a hunt. The story is that he was a hunter, and he was out there hunting, and he saw the same dog. He had the same collar. He had the same little, little metal thing on his collar there. And he said it was the same dog. and he says he knew he threw the dog into the hole. But that's not, that's not my dog. That's not my.
It's not your story, but it's a story of a resurrected dog.
Yeah. This is, as you can well imagine, this is all Native American land around here. And so one of the lines of inquiries I'd like to make is, is there anything about this hole in regards to the Native Americans?
Of trying to find terrorists, the Patriot Act could infringe on our rights. 2 bombs exploded about 20 minutes apart in eastern Baghdad, killing at least 11 Iraqis, wounding dozens. Also sad news for us in the U.S. military. 5 U.S. troops died in separate attacks. A roadside bomb blast killed 3 U.S. soldiers near south of Baghdad. A 4th soldier died the same day from wounds sustained in a small arms fire attack. And then a U.S. Marine was shot and killed during combat near the western city of Fallujah. In Russia, 3 bombs ripped through slot machine parlors in a southern Russian city, killing at least 2 people, injuring up to 25 others there. They're treating the blast there as terrorism. Al-Qaeda is still plotting and preparing attacks on the United States, though great strides have been made to degrade the terror organization. Now, this all according to National Intelligence Director John Negroponte. He told the Senate panel this, speaking on behalf of the entire U.S. intelligence community in a very rare open session. He told the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence that Al-Qaeda and Iran are this nation's top security concerns. Although an attack, he says, using conventional explosives continues to be the most probable scenario, Al-Qaeda remains interested in acquiring chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear materials or weapons to attack the United States. Strange story out of the Bermuda Triangle. And this is starting to hit the mainstream media. There were 3 boats in the Bermuda Triangle. The first boat was a brand new Mercury outboard with these engines. It was a brand new boat. Now, that boat got further ahead of these other 2 that were in the triangle. Ultimately, one of the stragglers had engine trouble. They radioed the lead boat and told them to hold up while they tried to fix the problem. Apparently, the person in the lead boat said that he would just idle and wait for them. It's very strange. A half hour later, they heard him yell, U.S. Coast Guard. They heard him say that twice, and then there was silence. Now, when the United